Academics are not, we're not just there to have a good time. The more vulnerable a society is, or the more vulnerable people you have in a society, the greater your responsibility to make sure that your research counts for something. Right now, we have a crisis in Ghana around illegal and irresponsible mining, and the science is there showing us the effects of the leaching of cyanide and mercury into our water bodies. The research is there about the social costs in the poor communities, what's happening with sexual exchange of services, because now there's all this money coming in from gold. The research is there about the effects on our food. Not every academic can be a public intellectual, but I think that we also have a huge responsibility to make sure that the research moves, right? And so, for example, in Ghana, the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences has tried as an institution and also individuals within it to have those conversations with policymakers. I would say that, and I wasn't a practicing academic when the most serious and lengthy period of military regime was going on. I was a student. What I think we experienced then was a truncation of free speech. So, of course, the military don't want to hear people shouting on the streets and asking for them to go back to the barracks and let's have elected governance, right? So we had years of a culture of silence where academics were not having these public fora, but there wasn't much interference, as I would see it, in the science that we were doing. The soldiers weren't looking to read what it was that we were saying. I would say that as democracy, quote unquote, has moved, we have seen a greater interest, and this is global, in tinkering with the science. So when people say, well, climate change is not real, then you're dealing with actual science-based, there's evidence that there's a change in the environment, in the ecology, as a result of what we are doing as human beings. That's a different kind of interference. And of course, both can happen. I think we are seeing more of today, not just what people are producing, but also what people are saying. Like, you're not allowed to speak about certain things that you disagree with. We saw some of that in COVID, where there were disagreements about what scientists were saying because some of that interfered with policies that governments wanted to implement. For me, I don't see them as separate. I think we were talking earlier and I was saying that I see the classroom, for example, as an activist space, because we all have opinions, right? And we talked about the difference between opinions and facts. And we base our opinions on what we believe are facts and what we've learned. My students will know where I stand. Sometimes I'll say it explicitly, sometimes I won't. I teach gender courses. They know that I hope that they will have a certain worldview about gender issues by the time the class is over. And I see that as a form of activism. I once had a student, a male student whose wife, this is many years ago, emailed me and she said, I don't know what happens in your classroom, but I think that my husband has learned some things about gender issues and I just want to thank you, what you and your colleagues are teaching. For me, it's about also working with people who are so-called have the boots on the ground. So people who are full-time activists or civil society, they do more of the on the streets kind of thing, or on the ground or in the communities. Those of us in the academy are doing more of the research, but Ghana is a small country, so at least in the women's movement space, we work very closely together. I'm a person of faith, so I don't believe in coincidences. I think that the universe, there's a God, there's a universe that we have a responsibility to. We're not just here to suck the oxygen, right? And that good will conquer evil if the people who have an agenda that is for human well-being will be the activists. And it's not so long ago that we had slavery and colonialism. When people resist and when people fight and when people push, eventually systems collapse. Because we are human, we wanted to give immediately, right? I'm thinking of the ecological terrorism is what people have used in Ghana with the gold mining and the effects that it's happening. It will take years to clean up the water, to clean up the soil, but it can happen. We will be able to look back and say, you know what, 50 years ago, the rivers were really poisoned, but all of this happened, and now we've moved on. I might be dead then, but that's okay, because other people will benefit from this.